Hi everyone, my name is Emma Roach and this is my article video presentation for global communication. My article is titled Arab American Femininities Beyond Arab Virgin / Americanized Whore. It's written by Nadine Naber and she writes about her experiences as an Arab American woman as well as many other Arab American women and their experiences, and more specifically a woman named Lulu, her experience as a queer Arab woman. So some of the article's main ideas and themes: there's a big emphasis on religion, sexuality, and virginity among Arabs versus American cultures. Arab American women are either seen as good Arabs or bad Americanized girls, and sexuality is often put onto Arab women by their families. There's a couple of conditions that break down the imagined version of an Arab American that can be generational, gender, class, religion, etc. Two of the terms used in the article are Al-Arab and Al-American, being Arabs versus Americans. And there's a lot of differences between the two, like an Arab view is that Americans don't watch over their daughters, and then a key element of an Arab woman is to be a heterosexual virgin. So some of my thoughts and reflections is it was interesting to see that there is representation of queer Arab women with the experience of the girl named Lulu. And it was really cool to read up on the expectations of Arab American women and how generationally it's really different. And then so kind of about Lulu's oral history is that her family was more open, like talking about sex, but they were still set in their ways of being a heterosexual Arab. And one quote that I took from there is that her parents had said to her that you're the only gay Arab in the world, which clearly seen in the article it isn't true. And they also said to her that sex is more important than your family, which is another thing that isn't true. And so kind of going off that is there definitely is a generational difference between Arab Americans. Like the generation today, they openly talk about sexuality, femininity, having different views than their family members, especially especially those of their parents. And the views that many Arabs have of Americans and or Catholics was interesting to see, that they see them as being dirty and pure. Another quote I took from Lulu's excerpt is that her parents used to say, or her mother more specifically, that the whore is either American or Christian. And then I mentioned on the last page too, but some Arab Americans' views on Americans are really interesting, especially that they're bad influences for their children. So my first article is titled The Slowly Changing Gender Dynamics in Arab Countries. And I kind of liked how it had mentioned that women are to listen to the men in their lives, because that was also stated in the previous article. They need permission to marry, travel, work, etc. Arab American women don't face nearly as much as adversity as those in the Middle East and North Africa. That's kind of just the perspective seen in this article, in that Arab women are highly educated, for example, in their work, and those roles are changing. And that a lot of other countries that are home to Arab women are really lacking compared to other countries, but things are definitely progressing. And it kind of talked about the expectations, how they're changing for Arab women. And so kind of my response to that article is I saw it as being topically related because it talked about other Arab countries and gender dynamics with Arab women, and I like to compare it to the United States. One thing that struck me was how they're behind the times. Like, for example, until 2018, women in Saudi Arabia weren't even allowed to drive. And I have a couple other points, but I'm going to jump into the next article, which is called The Conflict of Culture and Sexuality Among Arab American Women. And this overlaps the beliefs of Arab views and Western ideas of sexuality. That was a big point, how a lot of Arab Americans face bicultural identity conflict because they're learning two very different things from their Arab side and their American side. And another way this was related, they talked about how Arab society's premarital sex is forbidden and unaccepted, so that brings a lot of lack of sexual health education. So my response to that is that it's shocking to me that many Arab women have denied exams and shots that may be beneficial for their health just because it's seen as an association with premarital sex. And an interesting fact from it that stuck out to me was that statistically more Arab women have never had a pap smear compared to non-Arab women. And a quote I took from that is, "Lack of proper sex education does not prevent sexual activity, but rather makes those sexual practices more dangerous." Kind of the examples there are STIs, abortions, stress, trauma, etc. So my 2 open-ended questions for you guys is the first one, what, if any, expectations are there placed on you in your own life because of either your sexuality, gender, religion, class, etc.? And my second question is, what are your ideas or expectations of Americans as well as Arab Americans? And do you think that those are similar to the ones that I have stated from the articles? So that's everything. These are my resources, and thank you for listening.